My dad and I are on a quest to dominate and win trophies against each other. Also known as the Glory Hunter Challenge, we have to win the league and cup in 5 of the biggest European leagues, as well as the Champions League and Europa. It was a bad couple of seasons for us both though, as each of us were fired from Chelsea and AC Milan on our quest to win the FA Cup and Coppa Italia. But closing in on our ultimate goal of completing Glory Hunters before my dad does, I was luckily enough to find the Liverpool job back in the Premier League. But my luck in the FA Cup, however, has still not been great. So I'm starting the summer in South America, bringing in a new striker from River Plate to hopefully score a lot of goals for us. As well as a Brazilian centre midfielder who's never left his home nation, aged 27, but he looks like a top quality player. And I was slightly tweaking the system to accommodate the Brazilian in a more attacking midfielder role. Dad was offered an interview for the Real Sociedad job with Lionel Messi, but finances were even worse, and upon looking at the players, he realised he's never going to win the league with them. Dad's trouble was that managers taken over these clubs from other clubs that aren't interested in him either. And he was relying on all the international jobs to take managers, which also never happened for him. They all instead approached him to become the manager, but of course he wasn't interested. Well, Dad, no jobs came up for you this summer.
Nope.
Still unemployed, unfortunately, after of course losing your job to AC Milan. Of course, you're only really looking for 2 countries, so this Arsenal job and the Ipswich Town one. No good to you.
No, I mean, Arsenal was there for a long time as well, weren't they? So.
Yeah, and in administration.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you look at the Premier League, gets them 9 points reducted already. So they've won 2 games and drew 2. And they're still on -1 points.
Yeah.
We're at a weird stage. I know we're at 2040, so it's nearly 20 years. But the whole, balance of the Premier League is mental. Because it seems like Newcastle, kind of Chelsea. I can't remember whether they have okay finances or not at the minute. Nope, definitely not. And I think Tottenham have okay finances. The rest of them just seem to absolutely crap the bed, haven't they? Even Brighton, they're just so poorly run. Manchester City was another one that I was shocked with. Nearly £400 million. Yeah, it's
unbelievable.
Yeah, so I thought I was going into a Liverpool job where, they had no money, but it was not as bad as what I thought. So let's look at, obviously, a bit of a recap of what I have actually done across the summer. Bringing in a few players, but I'm at the point now where I couldn't exactly bring in too many because of the transfer budget I was given. I was just given a really big wage budget, so I was able to bring in a couple of players for rather cheap prices. Now, Valentin Torres from River Plate and from Internacional, Brenner Baptisteel. So, a midfielder. So, again, 2 players from South America, which is the reason why they're costing so cheap.
Yep.
But they're 2 decent players.
2 good players, yeah.
Got a couple of little tweaks with the midfield there to see if we can do something here with the inverted fullback, or which used to be a wing back. So that leaves it more of us like a back 3, allowing my left back to bomb on instead. And I'm not locking anyone in, just let them play it out. This time round, we got Torres, he goes straight in there with Camps. Baptist still goes straight in there as well. So I have improved the team. We'll see if it does anything this season. Now, starting off the season with a loss to Arsenal, of course, who are in administration. I also drew to Manchester United, but big wins against Man City and Everton. Of course, it's got nothing to do with the Premier League. That is basically just a placeholder to keep my job. I just need to keep doing well in it.
That's right, yeah. You're not interested until January, are you?
No. So I finished 2nd place last season, which was far better than where Liverpool were when I took them over. So I have progressed the side at this point, despite having no budget. But again, it's all about from January onwards. Can I win the FA Cup? And can Dad find a job? We're going into very late on now in Glory Hunter. Technically, you're only allowed 20 seasons.
Yeah.
And we're closing in on that. And you've got 2 countries to complete.
I really need someone to be having a bad run and sort of sack the manager in November, December type of thing, and then I can jump right in before they get knocked out of anything, really.
Yeah. Or you find out that they're doing so bad in the league, but they're still in the cup.
Well, that's it,
yeah. But anyway, you've got Spain as well, where you're looking for the league title.
Yeah.
There's only really 2 or 3 that you can get there, and you already left one of them.
That's the problem. I've already left Atletico, so I can't see them taking me back. But you just never know. I mean, Real Madrid have just done so badly over a couple of seasons, and they're still keeping the manager. It's a mystery, isn't it? So,
still Ruby George.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what happens as we go on in Glory Hunter. So while Dad was waiting, I was biding my time getting to January, but enjoying myself along the way as we got some revenge on Spurs, defeating them 4-0 at their ground. And thankfully, we were given a much easier tie against Luton in the third round of the FA Cup this year, and we were performing well and sitting top of the league. We cruised past Luton in the third round and even beat Brentford in the fourth round 5-1, but that's when the trickier tie came. As in the fifth round, we have been drawn against Newcastle United, who have a solid lineup and are currently sat second in the Premier League behind us. Now, some jobs were appearing in Spain, but nothing that would give Dad the chance to win the La Liga trophy, but there's no sign of the Real Madrid job, again, as they are currently sat in 7th place. However, he still has time, because when the FA Cup came rolling around, my Liverpool side disappointed and allowed Newcastle to comfortably progress through to the next round with a 2-1 win. But at least for now, we have the league title secured and keeping our job. Well done, I won the league title, which is great for Liverpool, obviously, compared to where they took me over, but well, 5th round by Newcastle.
Done me a big favour, they did.
Yeah, they are pretty much the best team in this league, I think. They actually still have a good transfer budget as well on their team. They've got some unbelievable players. They've got a Paraguayan legendary player here who looks really good. Wow. So though he's pretty much, this guy here is causing me a bit of trouble, because in the cup, he's knocking me out as the manager, but it's so frustrating.
That saves me for another season.
And I mean, you should be punished for the fact that you didn't go anywhere.
Well, nothing, absolutely nothing came up, did it? I mean, the Arsenal job was available the whole season.
Yeah.
With Man City probably near enough the whole season as well.
Manchester City also went into administration.
Yeah.
So if you can see here in the Premier League, 9 points deducted from Arsenal and Manchester City. When Man City sacked their manager, neither of them replaced the manager until very recently. Yeah. Arsenal have got Reece Healey. Actually, that's still not the actual manager. That's the caretaker manager that's been there the whole time. Manchester City has got this guy again, probably the caretaker.
Yeah, the only job that sort of like came up was Seville. That sort of like could have done, I could have gone for, but they're never going to win the league, are they? Really?
No, that's
the problem. And right at the death as well, Real Madrid came unsecure, and then he went on a good run and won 3 or 4 games at the end.
Yeah, because if you look at past positions, he was down in 5th and 6th for a long time. Yeah. Once it came up insecure, and then it was like, and it was gone.
It was it.
Because he then went and won like 3 in the bounce or something stupid like that down here.
Yeah, he just went on a good run then as well.
The Atletico Madrid, Vallecano and Alaves. They did go and lose the Copa del Rey final though to Atletico. So yeah, they haven't won a trophy in so long, and it's still Rui George.
Yeah,
I cannot believe how long he's been there. Nearly 10
years.
Well,
when you look at where he was in the league there, in real time, they would have sacked him for that.
Oh, 100%.
Being in 6th, he was doing so bad, and I've just thought, just sit back, bide your time, and that job will come up, and it did. But saying that, nothing else came up that was available for me really. Italy was nothing.
They won the league last year.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, the Copa del Rey winners the year before that. And then you can see they went on a long period of time where he didn't win anything. I just don't understand how he managed to keep his job for so long. Makes no sense.
I just sat there waiting and it just didn't happen. So that's how it goes. So I'm still out of a job.
And you've only got 2 years left.
I've just lost the whole season and I've got to do something. I really need something to happen. I can't see one of the big teams in Spain coming available, so I need something to happen in Italy. Very early doors. Get in there, jump in, do the job, you to lose again, and then in to lose his job.
Yeah.
That's the only chance I got now.
That's all you need to happen.
Worst things have happened in life, innit?
Yeah. In the Premier League, though, I did finish top. Valentin Torres, 16 goals, which was quite good. Jordan Davis was the reason why, though. We've got 21 clean sheets. Defensively, we were really solid. We only lost 4 games. We just had a really good season in the league. Unfortunately, just couldn't do it in the cup. I even got to the Champions League semi-final, defeated by Juventus, who have gone on to the final. They're facing Bayern Munich in there, so one of my old former clubs.
Look who scored the goals against you.
Cristiano Ronaldo Jr. is actually 30 now, and done quite well. So, yeah. But then, we got to go on to next season. We've got a big wage budget, but no actual transfer budget, so the same can be said again as what happened last season. I've got about £30 million really, and my squad is looking quite small, if I'm honest. I've got two 2 goal scorers getting quite a lot, but the rest of the side's all chipping in as well. But it's the ages that I'm worried about. There's a few players in like 30s.
Yeah,
Antonio Silva as well is about to retire.
Ooh.
Which, that was my captain, my centre-back. Tony Smith is retiring. So that's going to be a shame. I'm going to have to look to replace him, unfortunately. But we'll have to see. Will Dad find himself a job? I'm yet again not adding anything to my trophy cabinet, which feels like it's been so long now since I've even looked at it that it's probably got cobwebs. Anyway,
you don't like the FA Cup, mate, do you?
No, let's see what happens in the summer. Yes, no trophies to be added for either of us as Dad sits out a whole season. And although I didn't make him pay that season, I keep doing what I can and sign a new striker for next season. Alongside another talented defender from River Plate, as my link to South America works wonders for me once again. And that continues with a centre midfielder who's barely costing me anything to bring him in. Still nothing all summer for Dad though, job-wise, as he's starting to get a bit anxious about this season. Alright, well, still no job.
Nothing.
To be fair, you had no options in this summer. And it wasn't even... I mean, at least last year, there was a lot of international jobs, which made it look like there could have been a job.
No big managers left anywhere to go to take the... And there was Germany, France...
Spain. But this year, you didn't even have a World Cup year or a Euros, so there was no even hope
nothing.
Of that.
Just sat here twiddling my thumbs.
Yeah. I managed to sign a couple of players, though. I signed a young goalkeeper who I probably won't use, but he was just there as a good backup because I thought I might be losing mine. Mark Scully has come in, 24 years of age. He's 6'8", but he can't head a ball, so don't worry about that. He's actually quite good with his feet, though. But I just seen him signed him, and then I was like, dear God, he is 6'8", and I didn't even realise, so he is an absolute lump up there. He's quite quick as well, to be fair, 14 for pace and acceleration. And then £4 million for this man. Centre midfield, not too bad at all. I think that's quite a good little deal there, but the main money was spent on Fiorentino. Obviously, I was losing Antonio Silva, so I brought in this guy, and he's a beast as well. He's 6'6". Could do with better positioning and possibly marking, but outside of that, he don't look too bad. Good with both feet.
Yeah, he's two-footed, so you can use them both sides, can you? Which is I do, isn't it?
Again, using South America as like these cheap options. If he was a European player, it would probably cost over double what I actually paid for him. So we'll see. I'm keeping the similar shape as what I had from last season, which was this. And as you can see, just moved a couple of things around to that. So we've now got a ball-winning midfielder in there, and that is the reason why I'm doing that is we have 3 or 4 really good centre midfielders, and I don't really feel like the winger of using Healy Ty has been doing great for me. He does come in as like one of the best strikers, but if I do best 11 pick, you can see he stays up there with Torres, so we'll give him another option, and I do prefer 2 up top. I don't really like that 4-2-2. Although it's won me the league, I don't like it for cup competitions.
No.
It's one of those things, isn't it? But there we go. We'll see how this one plays out instead. But the start of the season, I've done all right. I have got battered by Chelsea in the Community Shield, but we have beaten Arsenal, we have beaten Brighton, and we have beaten Everton. So it's a good start domestically.
One goal as well.
Only conceded 1 goal, yeah. But Dad still without a job. It's been over a year now. You need something because we've got 2 or 3 years left. I can't remember whether we're in season 18 or 19. Just the 2 seasons left.
2 seasons left, yeah.
And you've got 2 trophies to get in 2 different countries, which
it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
It could happen though. You just never know.
That's true. With Glory Hunter, you don't ever
Something
know.
could just pop up. Real Madrid could decide to finally get rid of him. I could jump in there, win the league, drop down on that one, and I'm after you then.
Yeah. Well, let's see if that plays out or if that's just Dad's fever dream. Well, Dad had to wait for the middle of November, but not for anything in Spain. It's the Bologna job in Italy that's appeared, and it doesn't look too bad. As this is a club desperate for Dad's help, and he is willing to be there and hopefully win the Coppa Italia for them this season. He has a good side and decided to set up in a 4-2-2 formation, but it is in need of a centre midfielder, as his has been loaned out. Before the transfer window opened, however, there were positive signs that his new Bologna side looked great. Winning 5 out of the first 6 matches with Dad in charge and only losing to a very good Atalanta team who were actually top of the league at the time. Back in Liverpool, I'm in a title scrap once again with Newcastle, but the draw draw for the FA Cup has been released, and it's Cardiff City in the third round. Signings for Dad though, and all three of them were there to help his midfield out and improve his starting 11, giving him lots of options now, which is needed in this system, especially with the lack of talent he has in that position already. Cardiff City put up a good fight, but we were 2-1 victors with my 6'8" striker scoring one of the goals. And then he went on and scored the first 2 goals in the fourth round against Ipswich Town, which was a much more comfortable win as we go through to face Leyton Orient in the 5th round. Dad was also making good progress in the FA Cup as a 3-0 win in the third round was followed by a 5-0 win in the quarter-finals against Fiorentina, but it's 2 legs next against Inter Milan. However, they weren't expecting the exceptional performance that Dad's Bologna side produced in the first leg in Milan. Mark Scully got himself a hat-trick against Leyton Orient, but that's where the easy fixtures have ended, and we had to take on Spurs in the quarter-finals in London and needed an extra time winner to send us into the semis, where Manchester City awaits us as Dad's glory hunter hopes are getting more and more at risk of ending. All he could do was focus on what he was doing, and another fantastic performance at home in the second leg was just what he needed. But of course it comes down to the wire against his former club Roma in the Coppa Italia final. Manchester City proved to be a tricky opponent for my side in the semi-final, but on paper it looked much more comfortable than it was suggested as we scored 3 goals, all after the 72nd minute of the game. However, it's an FA Cup final against West Ham, who of course very recently won the Premier League and defeated Manchester United on penalties. But can my dad keep the pressure on by winning the Coppa Italia, which of course would mean he would only have one more trophy remaining, the La Liga, to win? Unfortunately for him though, his in-form Bologna side were a shadow of what they have been putting in performance-wise since he took over. And they were beaten 3-0 in Rome by Dad's former side, and he will be waiting yet another year to tick off the Coppa Italia trophy. FA Cup final day though, I've waited so long at a crack at this trophy, and Sapper has given my Liverpool side a 14-minute advantage at Wembley, only to be pegged back to send the game into extra time by West Ham in the 84th minute. But I signed him for a reason, and he has come up trumps a lot this season, but extra time was big Mark Scully's time, as the 6'8" left-footed demon bagged 3 goals in extra time to finally put both Dad and I out of our misery, to lift the FA Cup for Liverpool and complete my glory hunter cabinet. Well, it is done. Oh my god, I'm so relieved. Glory Hunter is complete, and I have a new hero in Mark Scully, 6'8". He scored a hat-trick. Not one of them was with his head.
But he can't enter a ball.
No, that's true, yeah, he's only got 9 headed. But what a player. What a signing. A free transfer gets me the job done at Wembley in extra time as well. 104th, 105th, 111th minute.
West Ham let me down.
Oh, what a relief. I can't believe it. Especially because there was an opportunity there for you to draw level.
Yes.
Because, of course, you got to the Coppa Italia final. And I must admit, the Bologna job came up. They were very low down the league, but we had a look at it and we thought there's a few good players in that team.
They did have a good side. They were just a little bit weak in the midfield, and fortunately I had a nice little budget in January.
Yeah, 30 million.
Yeah, and it was enough to get 3 good midfielders in, and I went on a run then. You
did. I mean, there was a bad patch there in March for the Serie A.
Yeah, that's where they got the sack.
Outside of that, your run in the league was incredible, because you went from Atalanta there, and if you take out March, you didn't lose in the league.
Yep.
It was an unbelievable run, and as soon as you were battering into Milan in both legs of the cup, I thought the cup's yours. Especially when we seen Roma, your former side.
I couldn't believe
he got destroyed.
It was obvious I was going to pick up one of the big teams, and I thought Roma, that they were at the time when I got into the final, they were one position in front of me.
Yeah.
And I thought that's doable.
Yeah.
The run that I was on at the time, that is doable. I'm in a good run. As you can see, I was winning 3-0, 3-0, 3-2, 3-0, 3-0. I was winning games left, right, and centre. So I just felt confident I was going to win that game and win that game.
Yeah.
I mean, I've still finished 6th.
Yeah, from 16th, I think they were when you took them over.
I think I lost 3 league games since I took them over.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a good side, and nearly, but it wouldn't have made any difference. So, I'm gutted I didn't win that cup final, because I'd have been the one trophy behind you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was always going to be the hardest one, I think, in Spain, because I couldn't get into that top 2 teams.
Yeah. I was lucky with the Barcelona job.
Yeah.
That was one of the best moves. It was the boldest move, because obviously I left the Man United like Premier League winning side to go there just as you appeared.
Yeah.
With Manchester City, and it was like, nope, they don't come up very often. Barcelona,
and that's the thing, isn't it?
I went for it.
It don't matter where you are and which other countries you're in. If one of them two comes up, you got to jump at it, get the job done in Spain, and get out again.
And also, we're not talking about how lucky it was, because you accepted the Manchester City job on the same day as what they sacked the Barcelona manager. Which means, because if that come up just before it, you're going, I'll go Barcelona.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Because you just know in the Premier League, you're going to have 3 or 4 teams that can do the job in that league.
Yeah.
You get a decent budget and you can be there like 3 seasons and get the job done. Or in your team.
8.
I can do the FA Cup quite easy.
Yeah.
It's
7 or 8 seasons.
Yeah. But I mean, I look back and I think in some team, I mean, you say a lot of people give me stick saying that I stayed at Roma too long. But when you think of what I actually won while I was at Roma, it was everything but the cup.
Yeah.
I was winning trophies in Europe. So I won the Europa League. I won 2 trophies there. So I was winning games, and I finally won the league with them. But
no, I'm sorry, I've got to disagree.
I don't. You say I stayed there too long.
You did. You stayed there too long.
It was
a bad move, I think, originally to go there. And then you stayed there, how long? 5 seasons, and got the league done. And in that time, Dad, I completed 3
countries.
I
but you walked into one country and just done it first season and walked back out again.
That's because I had the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
You stayed at Roma way too long. In Glory Hunter, you can't afford to stay in one place for 5 seasons when you've got all those other trophies to still win. I've got to disagree. Let me know in the comments if you all agree with me or Dad.
I can't.
You stayed there too long.
I honestly can't remember now, going back those seasons, whether I did get to the finals and lose, though. Because I felt that I was doing well while I was at Roma, but didn't I get to a couple of the finals and lose?
Yeah, but at that point, you were nowhere near the league. You stayed there way too long.
But I won the league with them in the end.
Yeah, 5 years later. And in that time, I'd won 6 of the leagues. But yeah, I've got to disagree. I think if you're looking at this, it got closer near the end, but that's only because I struggled so much to win the FA Cup.
Yeah.
But, I mean, look how quick I was in and out some of these clubs. It says I was in there for 3 years with Dortmund. I wasn't. I joined Bayern Munich halfway through, won the league, bang, gone. Porto, 2 seasons, done. Man United, 1 season in, and then the second season I had left to go to Barcelona. It took me 3 years at Barcelona, which was the longest up until, obviously, when I was just looking for the FA Cup. And the Europa League. I won the Europa League with Chelsea.
That was the one I think
in that first season.
That was the one that killed me.
Yeah.
When you won that Europa League.
Yeah.
Because I just felt that to me was going to be one of the hardest ones for you to win, because you were going to successful teams, where I'd already got that in the bag with Roma.
Yeah.
So, but once you got that one, I thought, I'm really struggling now. I mean, the FA Cup done me a big favour because you struggled there again. But
well, yeah, because the FA Cup took me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons. 7 seasons to win the bloody FA Cup. Not to count in the 8th season it was where I was at Chelsea and didn't win it, and the 2 that I was at Man United. So really, it took me 10 seasons or 10 cracks at the FA Cup for me to actually win it.
So what's that, season 34, 35? Where was I then? And
at that point, I think you were still at Roma.
30, 34.
Atletico Madrid. Yeah, because you moved across to Atletico when I was at Barcelona.
No, just done Manchester, yeah, so...
But that's what I mean. Like you got the Atletico, the Copa del Rey done, Benfica in and out done. You're quite unlucky with Milan, because obviously you won the league, but then you were looking for the cup.
Yeah.
And you got sacked.
They were a good side, and
of course you then
to win the league.
Out.
Didn't I lose the cup final as well with Milan?
I can't remember.
No, I can't now.
But there we go. Glory Hunter is now complete.
Yeah, I do like that competition. It's
it got
so
closer near the end than what we thought it would be. But ultimately, after I took that such big advantage and you wasted so long at Roma, it was inevitable in the end I was going to be completing it before you. So, the final thing to do, Dad, is to add the FA Cup to my Glory Hunter cabinet before we move on to another challenge. Yes, our quest to secure all the league and cups across the top 5 leagues, as well as the Champions League and Europa, is finally complete. I have just beaten my dad to the finish line by 2 trophies, but smash that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, because the next challenge we have is going to be unmissable.